good morning. So, I would like to invite all the students to our today's lecture. Once again, I would like to say you very good morning. So, today we shall be discussing about question number 5D, novel The Sign of 4, 4.4 question and answers from the question bank provided to us by the Ports Department. So, question number 5D, answer in about 50 words to the questions given below. Each question has 4 marks. Now, some of them will be very similar like the last video. Many questions will have the similar answers. So, beginning, the first question is the reception of 6 pearls helps the story to move forward by providing some connection with other happenings illustrate. So, the answer to this question is the reception of 6 pearls gives a breakthrough to the story, the sign of 4. Mary Motstan, the major character in the story, has received 6 pearls from an unknown person every year since the day her father had disappeared. So you see that when her father disappears, from the next year, means leaving the current year, after that year, every year on the same day, same date, she started receiving huge pearls. Now till now she has received 6 pearls. That means her father had disappeared 6 years ago. With the last pearl, there was a note for meeting. Now, every year she was receiving a pearl, that was a thing. But this time there was something suspicious about it because there was a note for meeting. She approached the detectives Sherlock Holmes to get help. So finally she went to Sherlock Holmes to seek his help. Holmes and his friend Dr. Watson agreed to accompany her to meet that person. The story moves forward to and unfolds the secret of pearls received by her. This is the main theme, actually, one of the main themes of the novel. The next question, describe the desired destination of both the parties in your own words by providing some details. So, Miss Watson, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson were on their desired destination. Thus, to keep the answer very short and easy to remember, I am excluding some details. If you want, you can add that details, which street, where they went, what is the current address of that particular place where they went to meet that person. They were taken to a forbidden neighborhood. That means that particular place was out of the city. The area was lonely and cut off from the city. Their cab stopped at a house which was very dark and shady. That means whichever place they went, that place was outside the city. It was dark and shady. That means very few people or maybe nobody lived there. A single glimmer appeared in the kitchen. It was third-rate suburban dwelling house. Here, they were invited to discuss about some important issue about the treasure. So this entire thing, when they reached that particular destination, this entire thing was related with the treasure. So treasure is also one of the themes of this particular novel, The Sign of 4. The next question is, write the character sketch of Sherlock Holmes as a professional detective. So Sherlock Holmes is one of the major characters in the story. As we move around the story, we find there are many major characters like Sherlock Holmes, Dr. Watson, or Mary Motstan. He is professional detective. He is a very good detective. In the novel Sign of 4, Mary Motstan gives her case to Holmes to solve. So the case was her father's disappearance, and ever since she had been receiving a pearl every year, and now that particular person who was sending the pearl wanted to meet her, so she thought that there is some mystery behind her father's disappearance. He had excellent observation and extraordinary concentration dealing with his client. So he was very famous for his observation skills. He is very peculiar in dealing with the case. He derives some conclusion from the handwriting. So Sherlock Holmes is very sharp. With the help of just little evidence, he comes to a conclusion, but he needs to find the proof. So he goes to the root of the case and comes with a solution. He is very kind and very helpful. Moving on to the next question. Compare the throughout process of Holmes and Dr. Watson in handling the case. So the answer to this question is, so Holmes is of the opinion that the judgment should not be biased on any physical judgment. So he believed that before taking any judgment or before making any response or giving exactly what is happening, we should check everything properly. It should not be judging anybody. Mary Motstan gave him the various letters received over the past 6 years and the pearls also. So he observes the handwriting in the note and draws conclusion that the writer is a man of self-esteem and character. For Holmes, there is no mystery in the case. So both of them have different point of views, where Sherlock Holmes thinks that this particular person who's sending the letters to Mary is a man of self-esteem and he has some character. But for Holmes, it is just normal letter. It does not have anything suspicious in it. But after examining the letters properly, both Watson and Sherlock Holmes come to a conclusion that there is some mystery behind everything that has happened so far. So the next question is, narrate the case of Miss Watson in your own words. So Mary Watson's father disappeared on 3rd of December 1878 from a hotel where she was going to meet him. She complained about the missing of her father at the police station. She advertised about it. She tried to contact every person he knew. She met her father's close friend Major Sholto, but he was not found. Then suddenly in 1882, that is 4 years later, she found an advertisement for her address. She responded to the advertisement and she received a pearl. Ever since, she had been receiving pearls for the next 6 years. With the last pearl, she had received a letter with a message that the letter spoke of giving her justice. So here we come to know that there was something really very suspicious about her father's disappearance and she receiving 6 pearls. So did something really bad happen to her father? Or was her father involved in something which caused his disappearance? Or he himself went away from the world? So there were many mysteries which she wanted to solve, and thus she approached Sherlock Holmes to solve this mystery. The next question is, Sherlock Holmes deduced facts from the back files of the Times justify by providing few details. So the answer to this question is, so Sherlock Holmes found after consulting the back files of the Times that Major Sholto died upon the 28th of April 1882. Within a week of his death, Mary Watson receives a valuable present repeatedly. In a letter with the last pearl, she is described as a wronged woman. So Sherlock Holmes deduced that it was about her father's disappearance. Sholto's hair knows about something about the mystery of Mary's father's disappearance. So Major Sholto's one of the relatives, whoever that person was, he knew about Mary's father's disappearance. Someone who's related with the Sholtos. So next question is, you are wronged woman, you shall receive justice. Interpret the statement to highlight the conflict in Miss Watson's mind. So Mary Watson received a precious pearl every year since 1882. In the 6th year, with a pearl, there was a letter which reads, "You are wronged woman, you shall have justice." Her father, Major Watson, who was an officer in an Indian regiment, he had reached London but disappeared before meeting his daughter. So here we come to know that Mary's father was an officer in the Indian regiment. He was an army personnel. He reached London but disappeared before meeting his daughter. There is a mystery behind this. His friend Major Sholto and Major Watson had looted a treasure. This is something that Mary comes to know about thus, that her father has actually wronged someone else and he may be a victim of his actions. So, but Sholto cheated Watson. Sholto told to his sons they wanted to compensate, and so they arranged meeting with Mary Watson by writing the letters. So here we come to know, when they reach Major Sholto's sons, their heirs, they come to know that how her father was cheated by Sholto, and this was just to compensate everything that happened with her. That's why they were sending her precious pearl every year. So somewhere Mary also thought that yes, something has bad happened to her father and she wanted to know what is it. So the next question is, Dr. Watson reflects Miss Watson's state of mind, discuss with some examples. So the answer is, so Dr. Watson was nervous and depressed as he was accompanying Mary Watson and Holmes. He sensed that Mary Watson was also suffering from the same feeling. He knew that she was tensed by some kind of mystery. Moving on to the next question, the ninth one. Holmes had a competence about the route of his travel. Suggest some points to clarify the statements. So the answer to this question is, so Holmes had competence about the route of his travel in London. On the journey, he muttered many names of places such as Rochester Row, Vincent Square, Vauxhall Bridge Road, and Wordsworth Road, Stockwell. place, Robert Street. So these are some names about the various routes of his travel. The next is mention of new places adds a pace to the story justify. So after meeting Major Sholto's sons, he comes to understand that there are many more places they have to add or they had to visit. So let us see the answer to this question. So the story opens at the place of Sherlock Holmes, where Sherlock Holmes resides. Then it takes us to the Lyceum Theatre, where we come to know about the various things unfolds the mystery. The story takes us to the family estate of the Thaddeus. It mentions the places like Thames and the Baker Street, adds the pace to the story. It also has references of Agra and Andaman Islands. So here there are new places which add to the pace of the story. So Mary Mordson found Holmes as the right person to handle her case. Give reasons. So the answer is so Sherlock Holmes had unraveled Mrs. Cecil Forrester's domestic complication. So she was very impressed with his kindness and skills. She recommended her employee Mary Mordson to hand over her case to Holmes. With his skills, he solved her case too. So this is how Mary Mordson came to the right person, that is Holmes, and she believed that it was Sherlock Holmes who could find the mystery of her father's disappearance. The next question: write the character sketch of Dr. Watson as a sensitive character. So the answer to this question is so Dr. Watson is the narrator of the novel Sign of. He appears as a friend of Sherlock Holmes. He helps Sherlock Holmes to unravel many mysteries. He is very adventurous and curious. In the many of the previous novels of Sherlock Holmes, we see that Dr. Watson has emerged as a very keen and understanding person, very close friend to Holmes. He's a very sensitive person. Then he's ready to help even the clients of Holmes. He's attracted to Mary Watson in the very first meeting, and he admits that to Sherlock Holmes. So the next is the paper found in the desk of Captain Watson, or is the center of attraction or the center of action. Explain. So Mary Watson found a curious paper in her father's trunk. She brought the paper for Holmes to observe because she herself did not understand what exactly is in this paper. Observing the paper, he concluded that the paper was a part of an important document. Possibly that could be a part of a map or maybe something to do with his disappearance. The paper was of Indian make and appeared as a map. On the paper, the words were written the sign of four. As you see, this is the title of our novel, the sign of four. So there was many names such as Jonathan Small, Muhammad Singh, Abdullah Khan, Dost Akbar. So these are the names of those people who helped him loot the treasure of Agra. The story is about the hidden treasure described in the paper. So next question is, I may be very obtuse, Holmes, but I fail to see what this suggests. Justify the statement by highlighting the difference in the deduction of the keys. So the answer to this question is so Sherlock Holmes finds no great mystery in the case of Mary Watson when she uh, what do you say comes to him for help, seeks her help, his help. Unfortunately, he didn't find any great mystery in the case or her father's disappearance. He finds some suggestive facts from the Times. It reads the Major Sholto that died on 20th of April 1882, and Dr. Watson fails to connect their fact with Mary's case, but Holmes deduces that Mary's father, who disappeared, knew Sholto in London. After Sholto's death, Mary received a pearl every year, and a letter that was for 6 years. So next is find support from the text which elaborates the tone of the narrator when he compares himself with Mary Watson. So the answer to this question is so initially Dr. Watson was very nervous and was depressed when he was accompanying Mary Watson and Holmes. He sensed that Mary Watson also was suffering from the same feeling. He knew that she was tensed by some kind of mystery, maybe her father's disappearance, or after understanding the different circumstances under which her father disappeared, her father looting a treasure, his friend getting killed, maybe he's also got killed, and everything. As he had fallen for her here means that as we come to know that in the beginning of the novel, we come to know that the narrator has fallen in love with Mary Watson. For her, his behavior towards her was different now, and he was very sympathetic towards her. So, the next question, The narrator makes Miss Watson's journey comfortable while going on to the unknown place. Narrate in your own words. So the narrator, Miss Watson and Sherlock Holmes were on the journey to the unknown place. The narrator endeavored and cheered to amuse Miss Watson by memories of his adventures in Afghanistan. He told her anecdotes and many types of stories. The coachman is described as a faithful servant. Justify the statement in your own words. So the answer to this question is, so in the novel, the coachman is described as a very faithful servant. He had to carry Miss Watson and her two friends, that is Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson. Mary Watson, Sherlock Holmes, and Dr. Watson reached at the Lyceum Theatre. A small, dark, brisk man in the dress of coachman was waiting for them. On seeing them, he inquired if they were the parties with Miss Mary Watson. He scanned them with penetrating eyes and questioning eyes. He asked Mary to promise that her companions were not police officers. He carried them only after she promised. So he was a very faithful servant of the Sholtos. When he came to meet Mary, he had done all the kind of inquiry that was required. He just didn't fool himself. He confirmed that these two people who were accompanying Mary Morstan were not the police officers but her friends, and thus, after her approval, they moved on. So, the last question here is Holmes, Dr. Watson, and Mary Morstan reached at the third pillar of the Lyceum Theatre. Describe the state of the mind of the trio. So, the answer to this question is, so Dr. Watson was very nervous and depressed. Miss Watson, who was also suffering from the same feeling, they were engaged on strange business. The business was about finding the truth of her father's disappearance. Sherlock Holmes remained unaffected from the petty influences because it seemed that Holmes had already predicted what was going on or going to happen and thus remained very cool. So, here I would like to end today's lecture. I hope you have understood all the answers.